All right, so welcome to Patch of the Day number 2. Today I'm going to make a sort of Bernie Worrell style funky synth bass. I'm going to kind of show you how to do that. This is a really good kind of a practice to just making synth bass in general, because once you have this kind of a patch, you can modify it to do all kinds of different bass tones. But it sounds something like it was probably originally done on a Mini Moog, I believe, and this is not a Mini Moog, but I think the Deepmind does a pretty good job. So it sounds something like this. Okay, so that's the little Bernie Worrell style. But I'm going to start with just a default patch and show you how to come up with a synth bass similar to that. You can do this really on any synthesizer. There are some things that will be unique to the Deepmind or other synthesizers that have different detuning options and whatnot. But you can get the basic idea and do this to just about any synthesizer. Really, to me, in my opinion, the most important thing about making a good synth bass patch is the envelope. You've got to have a good filter envelope that gives some movement to the sound. So I just want pretty much on and off. You want to keep your amplitude envelope, sustain all the way up, and you want to basically have it come on and off. Just you don't want a long release. You want a very short release. For waveforms, I'm just going to use a sawtooth and the sub oscillator all the way up. So I have a square wave sub oscillator and a sawtooth wave. Put those together. Nice and buzzy. I'm gonna mess with the envelope here, the filter envelope. What we want is our filter. We want our envelope to be affecting the filter. You want the attack all the way down. The decay will determine how quickly it goes down to your sustain level. And we want to hear some of that on this patch. We're going to add just a little bit of resonance. You can see if you put the resonance up too much, now you're Luke Skywalker. Boost this a little bit. Now, one of the things that make the sound unique is because it was played on a Mini Moog. It's monophonic, so we're gonna change the number of voices here. I'm gonna put it in a mode. The Deepmind 12 has a mono mode, and then mono 2, which is actually mono but with 2 voices that you can detune. There's a mono 3, a mono 4, a mono 6. I'm going to put it on mono 3. I found that as a pretty good, otherwise you can tend to get a little bit too much going on there. You can hear the difference. This is mono, and this is mono 3. You can kind of hear the phasing of the oscillators in the voices. What we're going to do is we're actually going to employ, in order to separate that a little bit more, I'm going to put in some oscillator drift. So the oscillators will just kind of drift around a little bit more, kind of like what a VCO synth would do. And you'll be able to hear as I change the oscillator drift and increase it, how the voices are starting to detune a little. So that's nice. Compared to this, I don't want anything too extreme. Something around that. And we're actually almost there. And this is where you just kind of play with your envelope. And that's basically the sound. One last thing you want to do, you want to be able to, when you slide, you don't want the envelope re-triggering with every key press. So what you do in the Deepmind is you, if I can remember. Oh, it's envelope trigger. So in the Deepmind 12, then you go to envelope trigger. It has mono, re-trigger, and then legato. We want it on the legato setting, because what that will do is it will, as long as you, because when you play legato, you run the notes together. So what this does is it triggers the envelope once. I've got two hands on a mono. But until you actually take off a key, and then it'll re-trigger. It won't re-trigger the envelope. And that gives you the ability to do things like that kind of thing. There we go.